Welcome to another episode of PDTV. I'm your host, Katie Blunt. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to go on a mission to Mars? Do you imagine yourself like Matt Damon surviving the harsh conditions of the red planet? Well, Dr. David Joy at Walquist Junior High School did just that. Well, kind of. He's going to share with us his experiences in a simulated mission to Mars. But first, let me share with you two EdTech competencies that we will talk about in this episode. EdTech competency number 2 focuses on professional growth and leadership. It states that educators should seek out, join, and participate in local and global learning communities to pursue professional learning and stay current with research that supports student learning. And Competency 3A focuses on personalized learning. Specifically, educators should apply the principles of personalized learning to tailor to the preferences and interests of various learners and to plan instruction that is paced to a student's unique needs. Educators should also foster a classroom climate of inquiry and growth mindset. Here we are in Dr. David Joy's science classroom. David, thank you for welcoming us today.
Of course, I'm happy to do it.
Let's jump right into it. I want to hear about this mission to Mars that you did.
Oh yeah, it was a dream come true for me. So I got emailed this opportunity to go down to the Mars Desert Research Station, which is part of the Mars Society, which is an international organization, and it's just here outside of Hanksville, Utah. There's a lot of prep work and stuff to get ready, but then I got to go down and spend a week at the research base. And we'd do a few research projects, we did some lesson planning, and then we were in simulation for 2.5 days pretending that we were on Mars.
I'd love to hear more details about the simulation experience. What did you have to go through?
For simulation, you full on pretend you're on Mars. So you stay in the habitat, which is about 33 feet in diameter, and it's 2 levels. The upper level is the living quarters, the downstairs, the lower level is the equipment room and some of the science equipment's down there, and then the airlocks are there. You have to fully suit up before you go outside, complete with helmets and packs that are analogous to what will likely be on Mars. You have to wear even down to gloves and boots, and then you have to stand in an airlock and wait for pressure changes and everything. When you're outside, there are rovers, which are electric UTVs that would be similar to what we would use on Mars. We would go out on missions with objectives. We did mainly geologic missions. And so we were collecting geological samples of analogous rocks that are found on Mars and on Earth. And then we came back and studied those and looked at kind of the stuff what we would be looking for when we do actually send people to Mars. We had to eat food like we would on Mars, so it was mostly freeze-dried, and we got really pretty creative with how we would cook some of that up. There are outbuildings, and we would have to go through rabbit tunnels, is what they're called, and we would have to go quickly because on Mars there'd be danger of radiation. We had the science dome, there's the RAM, the repair and assembly module, and then there's the greenhouse, and we each had our jobs, and so I was the green hab officer, so I would go and water the plants and keep track of what was, if anything came out like we used for food or anything, and how the plants were growing, and keep notes on that. And yeah, we just full on pretended we were on Mars for 2.5 days.
That sounds incredible.
It was a lot of fun. 2.5 days was when it was just finishing up getting fun and starting to get really, really kind of intense. Most missions are 2 weeks, and I can't imagine doing that for 2 weeks. So 2.5 days was a lot of fun.
So when this was all finished, what did you bring back to your teaching, back to your classroom from this experience?
So one of the main things that I really try to bring back anytime I go out and do some sort of an experience is what it was like and try to tell my students about it and try and do my best to help them see what it was like. And so it was mainly just kind of how hard it will actually be to send humans to Mars and to have them be safe and have them be successful, and just kind of everything that went into it. And so really it was just kind of the story of what I did down there. And then we also worked on some lesson ideas of how we can teach students what it's like on Mars, what Mars is about, what our Mars explorations are about, what our objectives are, and why we're doing the things that we do on Mars.
So finding engaging, real-world, personalized learning experiences for your students is not actually new for you. I know that you recently earned your PhD. Congratulations, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
And your dissertation focused on outdoor education. Tell me a little bit more about that and how you incorporate those ideas into your classroom.
When I was in 8th grade, our teachers took us on a week-long backpacking trip down to Havasupai in Arizona. And it had a huge impact on my life and my love of the outdoors and my learning. And I realized I could study something like that. And so I did a huge shift and started focusing on outdoor education and what goes into outdoor education, and especially underserved populations and outdoor education. And over the next few years, I came up with a dissertation that took from the same school. They no longer go down to Havasupai, but instead we took them to Bryce Canyon National Park, Grand Staircase National Monument, Capitol Reef National Park, and Petrified Forest State Park. And for a week, we just went around and explored different areas down there, and we did all of their lessons down there. So we did math lessons and English lessons and art lessons and science lessons, all in a real world context. So like they wrote poetry under a waterfall, and we explored petroglyphs and their meaning and the cultures behind those petroglyphs while we were in the canyon leading up to Lower Calf Creek Falls. And it was an amazing experience, and it turned into a dissertation that I'm really proud of.
I love that you were able to find something that worked for you and that you were passionate about, and then bring students into that environment as well. I think your two experiences really tie together because it's all about finding engaging learning experiences for students and creating that culture of inquiry and growth mindset. What are some things that you're doing here in your school that continue growing that type of learning environment?
So I've lucked out because I went to my principal, and my administration has been really supportive about this. I went to my principal and said, can we build an outdoor classroom area? And I've been working on it for a little while, and I've gotten benches so that I could teach outside, and I have a door that goes right outside in my classroom, which is really fortunate. But he jumped right on board, and we wrote a couple of grants, and we've spent the last year building an outdoor classroom area that has a shed and a greenhouse, and we'll have 2 outdoor classroom spaces and several garden boxes that will, when it's all said and done, the students will be in charge of taking care of the gardens and managing the greenhouse. And then all of the teachers in the school will have access to these 2 outdoor spaces that they can take their students out and get more involved in hands-on learning outside and get all of the benefits that have been shown in the research for teaching and learning outside.
So what are some of those benefits?
So in the research, there's benefits that have been shown for things like psychological benefits. We feel better when we're outside regularly. There's academic benefits. Students who have some time outside do better academically and behaviorally, which I know every teacher loves. There are some emotional benefits. There's benefits for students who struggle with things like ADHD. They do better if they spend some time outside. There's physical benefits. If students are outside running around looking at stuff, then they're up and they're active. And as much as I love technology, it gets them away from screens for a little bit, which is really great and gets them hands-on and dirty and learning in a way that they really love. It's really engaging for kids to go outside and look for stuff and look at stuff and really kind of reconnect with nature.
So how have your students reacted to you sharing your experiences with your mission to Mars, as well as the outdoor classroom?
They were really excited when I got back to see and hear what I had done, and I created like a little PowerPoint of pictures and stuff and told them a lot of fun stories. They especially loved the idea that I was the only casualty on Mars. We forgot to buckle my helmet one of the times, and so I was the only casualty. They thought that was great, but they were really loving the idea of what that experience was like for me.
Well, I'm sorry you were a casualty on Mars, but I'm so glad that you could, in real life, come back and share these experiences with your students and with us. Thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Of course, I'm happy to do it.
Now that we've seen how David has applied these competencies in his classroom, let's explore how you can apply competency 2 and 3A in your classroom. Start by seeking out opportunities for professional growth and leadership. One thing you can do is join local and global learning communities, such as your school PLCs, professional communities like the Utah Science Teacher Association, and social media groups. Seek out opportunities for professional learning. These opportunities can come from your local education agency and from state agencies like USBE and UEN. Take advantage of additional opportunities like those that David took advantage of from NASA. Learn about PD opportunities and the latest research by subscribing to journals and newsletters like the Clark Planetarium newsletter. You can also follow organizations on social media like NASA. You can also find educational articles and journals on the Utah's online library in the ERIC database. Then use all that you are learning to provide personalized learning experiences for your students and to build a culture of inquiry and growth mindset. Design meaningful learning experiences and assessments that engage students. You can do this by connecting your core content to current events and real-world technology and examples. Plan ways for students to learn actively using different pathways and varied pacing. Provide support based on individual student learning needs and empower students to make important decisions about their own learning. To access resources to help you build competency in these areas, visit uen.org/PDTV and access the teacher toolkit that accompanies this episode. Thank you for watching this episode of PDTV. To access more professional development resources and to schedule a training, visit uen.org/development. We'll see you next time on PDTV.